time again for another BaseHeads. It's your weekly support group to talk your MLB addiction, brought to you by the WorldOfSportsNetwork.com. World of Sports Network, connecting the world through the sports we love. My name is Lestro, and you know I got the man making the case, the attorney at sports. How's it going, man?
What's up, fellas? What's the wave?
It's I don't know what the wave is, man, but I'll tell you what, it's a beautiful day out here in Seattle. How's it there in Jersey?
Listen, man, in Jersey and New York, when we say what's up, we say what's the wave or what's hitting. That's where I'm gonna start asking you guys. What's hitting?
What's hitting? I like that. That's a baseball term. That's on the other side. He's not a realist. He's the realist. Cisco the realist. How's it going, brother?
Listen, he's going. This. When I haven't been really into baseball until this year, like for the last 3 or 4 years, I'm more fired up. And like these Red Sox fans, man, they find a way to irk me and to make me and to bring the best of me. Because I am that realist, they don't like that. And they all have a problem against me. I make enemies because of the way that I am.
A Yankee fan in Boston making enemies? God, that's hard to imagine.
Yeah, man, it's always a battle. Like my opinion really matters to people. But it's only an opinion. It's only an opinion. Why are you getting ticked up? So now, let's go. I
love it. Cisco been stuck in traffic all morning behind Red Sox fans, ready to go. All right, fellas. Well, it's BaseHeads. It's episode number 9 or episode number 10. My bad. Did the math wrong on that one. Let's extra innings, if you will. So let's start where we always start and say, attorney, my man, what are you watching this week?
Well, as a Yankees fan, and as a New Yorker, I'm watching the Subway Series, Yankees versus the Mets.
Oh yeah, it's not much of a series this time around though.
No, Mets are struggling. The Yankees won the first game last night, 4-1. Let me talk. I'm gonna talk negative about the Mets. What else is new, right?
I don't know that there's any other way to talk about the Mets.
Exactly, man. The Mets, they wasted another great start by Jacob deGrom last night. 8 innings, gave up 2 runs, 8 strikeouts, and the Mets, they are not scoring runs. In their last 51 innings, the Mets have only scored 3 runs.
Ouch! That's like Phillies. Wow. That's like Phillies on the West Coast level bad.
I'm telling you, 16 times this season, the Mets have been held to 1 run or fewer. They've been held to 1 run or fewer 5 games in a row. Just imagine that. 5 games in a row, the Mets have scored 1 run or less.
I don't have to imagine it. I watched it happen to the Phillies last weekend.
But the problem is with the Mets, they're built around their pitching staff, and their pitching staff is giving the Mets an opportunity to win the game. But if your pitcher allows 2 runs, there's no margin for error with these Mets pitchers. They got to give up 0 runs to have a chance to win the game. What type of environment is that to pitch in? That's got to be tough for a pitcher. Most notably, Jacob deGrom, who's only 4-1 with a 1.57 ERA. If he played for a team, maybe the Yankees, he'd be about 10-1.
That sounds like a tease. We'll get to that in the heart of the order because we're going to talk about some Yankee pitching woes, and we're going to talk about whether or not the Mets need to just blow it all up or continue there. So we'll get to that in just a second, but let's turn to Cisco and find out what the realist is watching this week.
I'm watching this week. There was a lot of stuff, like a lot of games. But I'm watching the Red Sox fan coming to me. And I'm watching them arguing. All of these people that are prisoners of the moment, that are stuck on Clayton Kershaw, come to me and telling me that Clayton Kershaw is the best pitcher, that we cannot compare Max Scherzer to him.
Seriously? You're getting crap from people about Scherzer? Scherzer has been dominating.
Man, I was the what do you call that, immaculated inning?
Yeah, the 9 pitches, 3 outs inning that he threw this week. Part of a 12 or 13 strikeout game.
He's the only one doing that lately.
It's true. Even Verlander with his amazing ERA is not pitching right now like Scherzer is.
No, he's the only one doing that. He's been the only one doing that. And this is like his third one of his career. Like he's
Yeah,
the only one doing that lately.
But I told you guys, speaking of the Nationals, I told you that the NL East eventually was going to be the Nationals to win. Right now, the Nationals and the Braves are in a dead tie for first place.
But the National cannot do anything by winning. Like, it is obvious that they can win. It's not like they competing with everybody else.
Yeah,
rebuilding process.
I agree with that, man. We went as an NL East guy, watching the Phillies about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. The Phillies found themselves in first place, looked down like Wile E. Coyote running off a cliff, realized they were off a cliff, and fell. Meanwhile, the Braves continue to do what they're doing, and the Nats have started righting the ship. The Nats have Eaton coming back. They've got
today,
today coming back, and Murphy's still lined up to come back. That team looks like it is ready to go out there right now.
But the thing now, they get their big guys back, and they're about to lose a big guy. Strasburg this morning, he got the MRI for his shoulder. They haven't said anything about what the diagnosis is, but I see Strasburg missing some time.
Boy, they say he's day to day. Like, yeah, they say that he's been very optimistic.
Truth be told, though, as the starting pitcher, you need him when you get closer to the playoffs. But if that lineup starts hitting, they should be able to survive a stint without him.
Hopefully. I mean, like I said, they are in a dead tie with the Braves for first place in the NL East.
Getting exciting. Now, boys, I'll tell you what I've been watching, and I know you haven't because you're out there on the East Coast and we got that East Coast bias. Hey,
what did Attorney said that he's been watching?
Attorney's been watching the Subway Series.
Okay, Attorney, I thought you was watching LeBron James.
We all were watching LeBron James.
Speaking of the Subway Series and speaking of Jacob deGrom, like I said about how deGrom and just the entire Mets pitching staff has no margin of error due to the Mets not scoring any runs. That Mets pitching staff kind of reminds me of LeBron James in terms of not having no margin for error.
Speaking of the Mets, Mickey Callaway look like Robert De Niro.
Well, they've got the star quality up at the top then. Well, I'll tell you East Coasters, we'll get to the Mets. I'll tell you East Coasters, what I've been watching this week is I've been watching Gene Segura of the Seattle Mariners, who is very quietly having a great season. Gene Segura, I don't know if you guys know this, and you probably don't because it's what East Coast bias. Gene Segura actually leads the major leagues in multi-hit games this year with 28. 28 multi-hit games by Gene Segura of the Seattle Mariners. Behind him is Nicholas Castellanos of Detroit, followed by Jose Altuve at 26 and 25. That's a hell of a start for Segura. And I'll tell you what, he's not just hitting, he's making great base running decisions. At a game against Tampa Bay this week, he got a double, which gave him his multi-hit game. He was on base when Mitch Haniger, that name I talked about before that we need to keep an eye on, Haniger hit a ball into the outfield. And Segura advanced to third. The throw came into second base, and it was kind of a lollygag throw, if you will. It wasn't a hard throw. He saw it was a light throw, took off for home, scored another run. The Mariners go on to win. I'll tell you what, boys, we're going to get to it right here in the heart of the order, but this Mariners team is for real. And now
this kid, Gene Segura, it's kind of been a couple years in the making for him to have this type of year.
Yeah, he's been on the come up, but
no. You know what happened to Gene Segura? The thing that happened to Gene Segura is this: when he was about to enter into his prime, he kind of messed himself up going to Seattle. Like the power number were coming up for him, and he had an amazing year. But going to Seattle didn't benefit him last year.
No, he was in Milwaukee, right?
It was in Milwaukee, then Arizona.
Milwaukee, then Arizona. But when he went to Arizona, he was on his way to become like a superstar, like a legitimate second baseman, like that position. But going to Seattle, kind of like slow him down. He got that injured and things like that, and like that part with a power number doesn't really benefit him that much.
You're absolutely right. He hit 20 home runs in his year in Arizona in 2016. Last year in Seattle, which by the way is where power hitters go to die. He only hit 11. Now he missed some games with an injury last year. But I'll tell you what, man, I don't know what it is. A lot of guys, especially infielders, love coming to Seattle and then not hitting. I don't know what causes it. It might be what they call the marine layer because the stadium's right up against the water. But whatever it is, you're absolutely right, Cisco. His power numbers fell off. But this year, even without the power numbers, he is hitting. He's hitting 340, and again, leading the majors in multi-hit games right now. So I got my eye on Gene Segura.
Yeah.
So let's get into the heart of the order. We got a bunch to talk about here. I want to talk about the Mariners and the AL West, which is going to include the Angels. We got to talk about the cream rising to the top because here come the Dodgers, man. And that NL West race is really, really tightened up with everybody except the Padres within spitting distance of the lead. Then we got to talk about the Yankees needing pitching and who they should do it, and whether or not we should blow up the Mets. We got teams talking deals before the deadline, and attorneys got a thought about who needs starting pitching the more. Of course, we'll get to the realest segment, we'll get to our closing arguments, and we'll tell you what to watch in the week ahead. But I want to start with where I just left off, and I want to talk about these Seattle Mariners, boys, because this is out here. It is starting to make the fans take notice, and when you start to make them take note in Seattle, you must be doing something right. So this team right now was at the top. I believe they're still at the top of the AL West. They had a 2-game series against the Astros this week, which they split, which was incredible because I texted a friend, no matter the outcome of this second game against the Astros, the Mariners will still end the day in first place. And he was like, that's crazy. That's a crazy sentence. I don't even know what to do with it. So my question to you guys is, do you think the Mariners as a team can hang on here in the AL West or and the wild card race? Is this a team that we'll still be talking about in August?
Well, they're definitely going all in because, the trades that they made already before the deadline, getting the closer from the Tampa Bay Rays, Alex Colomé, traded for Denard Span. So the Mariners...
Span is such a great addition, too.
Yes, no question. And the Mariners in the month of May, their pitching staff had a 3.13 ERA, which is good for 5th in the majors. Wade LeBlanc, I'm sure you're familiar with Wade LeBlanc, Lestro.
Yes, sir.
7 games started so far this season. He's 1-0 with a 2.94 ERA. I don't know why he's only 1-0 in 7 games, but the ERA is sparkling, 2.94. Pretty solid. Then you have D. Gordon, who with the suspension of Robinson Cano, D. Gordon's moved to his natural position, second base. It's been a smooth transition. He leads the league in stolen bases with 9.
Yes.
It's great to have that type of impact player at the top of your lineup. He's a tone setter. And then you have the OG.
Not even,
Nelson
hang on,
Cruz.
I want just the tone setting beyond that is that not just his tone setting with his bat, D. Gordon with his speed, with the way he plays, and with the sort of verve and joie de vivre with which he plays the game has really, really affected this team this year. It has made everybody seem like they're having more fun. When Gordon's out there, he's smiling, he's chatting, he's got the chatter going, he's stealing bases. He's been a great addition to this team. Just as a clubhouse guy and as a team guy, he's making a difference.
Like I said, leads the league in stolen bases.
Absolutely.
But then you have the OG, Nelson Cruz, who's starting to heat up. He's up to 11 home runs. We've seen this guy, Nelson Cruz, hit 40-plus in the season. Definitely see him finishing with 30 to 35 home runs this season. And here's the X factor for me with the Mariners. Felix Hernandez hasn't even pitched well this season. No. If they can get him going, this team could be really a team to deal with in the AL West.
Yeah, the King right now, not looking quite like the King. His ERA is 5.33. He's 6-4. Not quite the guy we would hope, but if he can find it, if he can find anything with this lineup behind him, this is a team that can contend.
Yeah, because now you have the closer in the back end of the bullpen who they just acquired from the Rays, Colomé. He led the AL in saves last year. He's a good closer to have. And again, the lineup's going to put up runs. It's just good defensive team. They have the speed. This Mariners team just has to get a little bit more from their starting pitching rotation. And I think we could see them competing in the AL West all the way up to the end of the season.
I'm with you. What do you think, Cisco? Is this a real team?
I'm going to be real with you guys.
Always.
Look, everybody in the Central suck.
Yes.
Even the Indians are struggling. The Indians has been a disappointing. They should not be a barely 500 team. The Indian has been nothing but a disappointment this year. They in first place because nobody else. They in first place because they have the better team out of everybody.
And yeah, the Central is a who wants it least division right now.
Cisco, talk about the AL West, bro.
Well, get to it.
But look, this is what I'm gonna say. The Central sucks so bad that the Mariners are better than everybody in the Central, except for the Indian maybe, and the Indian just have better players and papers. The Indian look better, and in the West, it's only the Astro, the Anaheim, the Angels, the whole Otani magic. That's gone, man.
Yeah,
that's gone. Like those days are over. So yes, it all depends if the Mariners can stay, if they can stay healthy themselves, because Gene Segura, Cruz.
Well,
they think to get hurt sometime, and Felix Hernandez need to turn the corner. But the Mariners have a really good team. This is not a coincidence. They're doing what they're supposed to do. It's just that they haven't done it.
Now, let's talk about that AL West for a second, because you brought up Shohei Ohtani. The Angels, he left a game early with another blister on his finger, and while they were apparently draining it, he complained of a little soreness in his elbow. They checked it out, and now Ohtani is on the DL with the possibility. He's got a grade 2 strain or sprain or whatever in his elbow. He might very well have to go to the DL for longer, might actually need some Tommy John surgery. Now, even though Mike Trout is putting together a historic season, his wins above replacement this year are higher than any in history. He's having an amazing year. Again, it's not really enough, and baseball needs the Angels to be better. They need this team with the best player in the game, and with Ohtani, the most interesting player in the game, doing their thing. With Ohtani going down, is it time to look at the Angels as another, like, all right, you're an also-ran again?
No.
My soldier should be fired after this year. That's it. That's it.
Attorney, you said no. Why not?
What?
In Anaheim, we need a change. What have my son done lately? Nothing.
Why are we panicking over the Angels when they're only 4.5 out?
Let's panic because that's a lot. Because baseball is getting hot right now. This is the time.
Okay.
We have to.
Trout's getting hot. Ian Kinsler's getting hot. Zach Cozart's coming back. He's healthy. Upton, that lineup's still very fearsome. They're going to lose Ohtani pitching and hitting, but the Angels lineup is still good enough to compete. They're going to miss that ace, sure, but
the other people are not handicapped. The other people play too. The other people are going to get hot too.
The Mariners, the Astros.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to get hot too. So, look, what the Angels were doing, regardless of what we're going to say, the Angels were surprising people. Even with Ohtani, the Angels were never serious contender. Like, nobody had the Angels making the playoff.
Listen, I think I did.
Anywhere. I didn't have them making the playoff.
The Angels lineup was 10 times worse last year than it is this year, and they were up. They were competing for a playoff spot right up until the last week of September. So this Angels lineup is 10 times better. I'm talking about lineup hitting wise. So
and
why
they
can't
falling apart in June?
It's 4.5 out.
4.5 out. Long season left, man.
But they were in first place before.
With Ohtani at the top of his game. So they're going to miss Ohtani for a couple weeks. I don't think Ohtani's going to be done for the season. No way Ohtani's going to get Tommy John surgery.
No, listen. Ohtani's going to get reevaluated in couple of
weeks. He's out for 3 weeks.
Reevaluated. And if Ohtani needs Tommy John surgery, go for it.
Those Japanese pitchers don't get Tommy John surgery. Look at Tanaka. He'll pitch through it. He'll pitch through it.
Interestingly enough, Tanaka found himself on the DL now as well because he pulled a hammy running a base. Come on,
2 of
man.
them. Both of them. Both hamstrings.
You know what? I know you guys are AL guys and I'm an NL guy and I hate the DH and you're all for it because of stuff like this, but bullshit. You're a baseball player. You should be able to run from third to home. If you're pulling your hamstrings on third to home,
Cisco. Do you remember a couple years ago when Ching-Ming Wang broke his foot running the bases?
Yeah, man. Ching-Ming Wang was not the same pitcher since then.
He broke his. I think it was against Houston. That was when Houston, the Astros were in the NL, and the Yankees were playing the Astros in Houston. And Ching-Ming Wang's running around the bases, and he breaks his foot, misses the rest. Like you said, was never the same. And he was an ace, man. Ching-Ming Wang was an ace for a little while.
Yeah.
Baseball players should be able to run the bases. If you can't run 90 feet. Come on, man. I mean, I realize John Kruk once said, "I'm not an athlete, I'm a ball player," but come on.
Last night, my jersey came in as a pinch hitter.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like when the Phillies put in what's his name, Roy Oswalt in left field in that one game. All right, fellas. Well, I think the Angels are not completely out of it yet, and I think baseball. I've said this a couple times off air and behind the scenes. I think the Angels. Baseball needs the Angels to be better. When the best player in the game, Mike Trout, plays on the team, they have the most interesting player in the game in Shohei Ohtani. They play in L.A., for God's sakes. This team needs to be better. Baseball needs this team to be better. I would like it to happen, but at the same time, go M's, man. I love watching the Mariners right now.
Lester, who would you rather see win a World Series, the Mariners or the Phillies?
I would rather see the Phillies win a World Series, but if they're not, I always say this. I am a Phillies fan first and foremost. I wear my Phillies hat to Safeco Field. That's my hashtag. I'm the guy in the Phillies hat if I'm ever at a game. That said, the second team I would like to see is the Mariners. And this year more than any, I would rather almost see the Mariners make the playoffs than the Phillies because we got a window. You know what I mean? The Phils window is opening, and if we get there this year, we're ahead of schedule. The Mariners are on the back end of what they got right now.
Do you like the Citizens Bank Ballpark or Safeco Field more?
I have only been to CBP a couple of times. I've only been there 2 or 3 times because it opened while I was out here. I love going to CBP, and I would rather see a game on television at Citizens Bank. I think it looks amazing. That said, Safeco Field, if you ever get the chance, is a great place to see a ball game. There is not a bad seat in that house. It is a great, great stadium. The difference, however, is the fans. There's not the sort of level of excitement, interest, intent that you would find in Philly, in Washington, in New York, in Chicago. This is a football town out here. So the fact that the Seattle fans are starting to discover the Mariners means they're doing well.
Lester, I have a bandera against bandera against the Seahawks.
Against the Seahawks?
Oh, here we go. He hates the Seahawks. Here we go.
Why?
He thinks they should have won more Super Bowls.
They should have.
I agree too, though. I definitely agree.
Why you saw what they did? They gave the ball to Malcolm Butler instead of Marshawn Lynch.
I'll tell you what, man. You're not the only one holding that grudge. All of sports radio out here is still holding that grudge too.
Of course, man. I can never forget that. They gave Brady more leverage.
Well, from the AL West to the NL West, let's talk about the cream rising to the top. And the cream rising right now, even without Clayton Kershaw, is the Dodgers starting to come alive in the West. Now, this race in the West is crazy. Every team, as we speak, the Diamondbacks are sitting back on the top of the division, but everybody except the Padres are a game and a half out. And the Dodgers are the hottest team in baseball. They've won, like 14 or 15 of their last 20 games coming into this. They're making their run. They're starting to look serious, and they're led, as Cisco pointed out both last week and again here, is led by Kemp. Talk about Kemp's year a little bit here, Cisco.
Hey, listen, he's having possibly the best year of his career, quality-wise. He's inspired. He is more of a veteran, more mature, and more of an impact player. I'm very impressed on the way that he has come out this year. And he's been from day one. He's been really good from day one.
Hitting 347 right now with 40 RBI.
Leading the league. He's leading the league in batting average. He's having a really good year. Like this year you can compare this year to any of his years. You can compare this year back to 2011, the best year of his career. You can compare this year. He's really put in a great season. Maybe he's pitching. Maybe he's playing for a contract.
Maybe.
He started his career. He had his best years with the Dodgers.
Yeah, in the beginning. Coming back home, there's something about that home cooking, playing in that park, seems to really be working out for Kemp this year. You
know what it was with Matt Kemp? He got, he had those couple good years early in the beginning of his career. But I think the Hollywood, the superstardom got to his head. Remember, he was dating Rihanna. He was sitting courtside at Lakers games.
He was doing crazy stuff like at the beach with Rihanna, like in it's very rare you see a baseball player sitting courtside at a Lakers game. Baseball players don't really have that celebrity to them.
No, not to mention they're usually busy at a game.
Yeah, but you see Matt Kemp with his arm around Rihanna at the Lakers game, and it kind of I don't want to know if it really got to his head, but ever since he started dating Rihanna, his career kind of went downward.
Well,
I guess he's got a clear head. And now
let's not forget the Phillies played a role in that too, because at that time, as good as the Dodgers were, they couldn't get past Philly.
I don't get it. So Rihanna is the Kardashian of the baseball players,
bro. Look,
because usually the basketball player when they date the Kardashian, they no longer good.
bro. Athlete in their time.
Don't say that, man. I need Ben Simmons to play.
Bro, every athlete in their time, well, not every athlete, but there's many athletes in their time that get distracted by a woman. Remember Tony Romo and Jessica Simpson? Remember A-Rod and Mariah Carey? Madonna. I'm sorry, A-Rod and Madonna.
A-Rod and everybody.
Madonna. It was Madonna, actually.
Yeah.
A-Rod was old already when Madonna.
So was Madonna. That's okay. So was Madonna.
He wasn't old, bro. It was. I remember the last year of the Yankee Stadium. I believe it was 2008.
Oh yeah,
2008.
Yeah. But guess what happened? He got busted for the steroid. And then he was crying like, "Oh, I did it. Me and my cousin, we didn't know. We were too young." Yeah, I remember.
Well, Kemp this year back in L.A., getting that home cooking, obviously back where he wants to be, way up over his previous years, hitting 347. In the last couple of years, he hit 276, 280, 262.
The thing is this: he's playing really for the love of the game, and it's like it's no more pressure. They brought him back, and that made him feel wanted. The fact that they traded for him, it made him feel wanted. Also, the Dodgers. Stripling is pitching good too. You know the pitcher Stripling?
Yeah.
The one that used to be the reliever. Now they got him starting. He's pitching good too.
Yeah.
And Bueller too. Bueller, right?
Bueller just got an injury though. Bueller's been having an incredible year. Walker Bueller, young kid out there for the Dodgers. Really, he almost threw a no-hitter earlier in the year. Really throwing smoke, but did actually found himself injured and may find his way to the DL. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do we think of the NL West here right now? As Mad Bomb's back for the Giants, the Diamondbacks are kind of stagnating. The Rockies are still doing their Rockies thing, and the Dodgers are coming on strong. This looks to me like the division to watch. This is going to be down until the wire. Like we're going to see until September that this division is just a crapshoot. What do you boys think?
Yeah, I'm very, very intrigued by the Giants, and I always say this because of their championship pedigree. It starts at the top with Bruce Bochy and Buster Posey. Now you got Madison Bumgarner, like you just mentioned. He's coming back. Evan Longoria is starting to find his groove. McCutcheon's out there. They got a veteran team that just has been there before, and nothing's going to faze them.
Giants leading the National League in hitting right now. They have the highest average in the National League. So yeah, that team.
And it's crazy because that team, once they the beginning of the season, this Giants team has passed their window. The window's closed. It's time for them to rebuild and blow up. People scoffed at them, getting Longoria and getting McCutcheon. Because two players that are, a lot of people think they're past their prime. Why is a team that's past its prime going out and getting two players past their prime? But hey, it's worked out because, I always say Bruce Bochy is, I think, top two managers in all baseball.
Really?
The guy knows how to manage the game.
Who do you got at number one?
Joe Madden.
I'd probably say Joe Madden.
I would say Madden's probably the top manager as well.
Actually, I'm a huge Terry Francona fan as well.
Oh, yeah, Tito. That's That's a great point. I hated that guy when he was the manager of the Phillies, but since he left, he's tough to argue with.
But Terry Francona is no more. Terry Francona is also known for his mistake, so more than anything else. But both Bruce Bochy and Madden are real managers. Like they are this kind. They are real managers.
Really old school guys.
We're disrespecting AJ Hinch too. We got to throw AJ Hinch in there after what he's done with the Astros.
You know who's a good manager? Do you know who else is a good manager? What's that dude's name? Oh my God, I forgot his name.
Give us a
Gardenhire from Detroit.
Yes, exactly.
Gardenhire's in Detroit now? Yeah, he did great work with the Twins for several years, but could never get them quite over the hump.
Yep.
Well, he didn't have enough to do it.
All right, well let's transition here. Speaking of not enough to do it, let's talk about the Yankees because we've been watching. I know you boys are both Yankee fans and getting in there. A lot of talk this week about how good this Yankee hitting is, but whether or not they're going to need the pitching to compete for the end. Now, attorney, you were saying they shouldn't wait; they should go for it now. So let's talk about some Yankee pitching. What should they do here?
Well, now with Tanaka probably going on the DL with the hamstring injuries. And they just lost Jordan Montgomery to Tommy John surgery. The need for a pitcher with the Yankees is at an all-time high. And here's why I say they shouldn't wait. Okay, the Yankees and the Red Sox are going to – it's no question about it. It's those two teams competing for the AL East. The Red Sox are a half a game behind the Yankees. Now, the Yankees, whichever team comes in second place in that AL East, probably will have 100 wins. 100 wins
and
is
we'll
going to get you
we'll host
the
wild card game, yeah.
Yes. The Yankees put in too much work to play in a wild card game. That's why every win counts towards winning the AL East, which is why I don't think the Yankees should wait till July 31st, because by that time, the Yankees might be in second place, and they might be back 5 games back, 10 games back. Who knows? I think the Yankees should go ahead and get that pitcher now. He'll be on the the longer he's on the roster, the more chance the Yankees have of winning the AL East. Which is why go ahead and get whatever you need, your biggest need. Don't wait. Go get it now. For every team that's a contender, don't wait till July 31st because then another team might pass you by. Go get your guy right now.
I completely agree. If you think you're a contender, now there are some teams who are still trying to figure out if they're buyers or sellers. You know, they still have they're in that interim period where they can still wait around for a month to see where they are. The Yankees are buyers.
If you look at all the divisions in baseball, the top 3 or 4 teams in each division are right there. In every division.
Yeah.
You know, like the only team like the NL West, the Padres, they're out of it. You look at the AL East, the Orioles are out of it. But the other divisions, the top 3 or 4 teams, they're right there, which is why they're all competing against each other. It's every man for themselves, though. So you can't say, you know what, we want that pitcher, but we're going to wait till July 31st. How do you know? The team that's right behind you in that division might jump you to go get that pitcher you want. Don't wait. Get him now.
And the Yankees and the Red Sox, when it comes down to one of those teams is going to play in a wild card game where they may have to face James Paxton of the Mariners or whoever the top pitcher of the Angels is at that time, whether it's OHTANI back or not. That's a tough game to play, even at home with the one game. You want that game off. You want to start with that series. I'm with you, man. Make the move now. So then the question becomes, who should they look at? There's been some talk of them looking at these 2 Mets aces. What do you think?
Obviously, I would love DeGrom. I'd even love Syndergaard. But it all comes down to, are the Mets ready to give them up, which I'm not sure yet. And then I was a huge, I was all for Bumgarner with the Yankees, but it looks like like I said, we just mentioned, the Giants aren't. They're not going anywhere.
We'll see in the next couple of months. They're a team that we don't know yet if they're buyers or sellers. We should know more as we get closer, but it's too early for the Giants to make any rash decisions. That's 100% the case.
So I got 2 guys that I'm looking at. I have Chris Archer from the Rays, and I have Cole Hamels from the Rangers.
I got Cole Hamels as the number 1 for me as well.
You like Hamels because of the postseason experience. You know that more than anybody. Let's show with the Phillies, World Series MVP. And NLCS MVP in the same year. And then Archer, he's had a tough – yeah, young. Now he's the veteran, the grizzled veteran. He could fit well in the Bronx. Then you have the kid Archer from Tampa Bay. Not really a kid anymore. He's up there towards, I think, 30. But the past 2 years, he's had ERAs up in the 4s, but the strikeout numbers are high. We've seen what Archer can do when he has a good year, low ERA, a lot of strikeouts. It's just Archer with the Rays trade him to a division rival. I don't know about that. He hasn't had much postseason success. As a Yankees fan who wants to see his team, who's all in, and the Yankees are all in, I would prefer a pitcher that has postseason success, a la Cole Hamels.
What about you, Cisco? Who do you like right now for the Yankees to keep their eye on as a possibility to add to that rotation? Do you like the Mets guys? Do you like Archer? Do you like Hamels?
Well, I like the Mets guy. I was reading earlier this week that they were going to possibly the Mets will have both guys available. And,
we'll get to that next.
And then that the Yankees can make a push for them. Like I like the Mets guy in the play, like in a pennant race. Like that would really get them over the hump. Cole Hamo is a veteran. I mean, it would make sense to get him. But
you know why I would like Hamels? Because the Yankees wouldn't have to give up too much to get him.
I'm not sure if Hamels is enough, though, to be completely honest with you. I think Hamels could take that Tanaka spot and keep them in contention, whatever it is, and make that range. But Hamels is not the sort of front-of-line guy anymore.
Lestro, you know why he fits well with the Yankees? Because he's another lefty. They have one lefty right now, CC.
It's an excellent point. It's an excellent point. So, Cisco, who do you like? What do you think?
I like the Mets guy.
You like the Mets?
If they can put something and get those guys, especially attending should be thrilled about. Don't you have the grand amount of top 5 pitchers?
No doubt about it. But here's the thing, Cisco. A top 5 pitcher, you don't get him for cheap. It's going to take a package of probably top two top prospects. Not even prospects, two top players that are playing now for the Yankees.
You would lose a prospect, and I would think any deal for DeGrom would probably include Torres.
No. DeGrom, you give up prospects for a pitcher that's, he's a good pitcher. DeGrom is an elite pitcher. If I'm the Mets, if I'm Sandy Alderson and I'm the brass of the Mets, I'm calling the Yankees. I'm saying, you guys want DeGrom? Here we go. We're going to start the package around Gleyber Torres.
That's exactly right. You put Torres on the table, and then we can talk.
If you're not willing to give up Gleyber Torres, hang up the phone. That's what the Mets got to do. When you have a pitcher like DeGrom, even though your team is falling down, you have the leverage right now. Yeah, your team might not be great, but you have a pitcher that many teams in MLB would trade for and want to trade for. If you're going to give him up, you demand the farm. You don't sell for anything less than what that player's value is.
So then that raises the question: should they? Now the Mets have been they had a great start to the season. They've got a couple good pitchers. They've been injury bit for the past couple of years. Do the Mets need to blow this team up and move on, or can they rebuild on the fly? What do they do?
Well, the Mets have lost 7 games in a row. They're done. Wow. I don't want to give up on them yet, but it's most likely that division's too tough. So
with 3 teams right now competing and the Mets starting to fade, it doesn't look like they're going to make their run this year.
And you look at the Mets team, you look at that lineup, there's no young talent to build around. There's nobody to be excited for. I mean, Michael Conforto had a good year last year. It might have been a mirage because this year he's hitting 220. So the best player for the Mets is Asdrubal Cabrera. He's hitting 286 with 10 home runs. He's not a young player. He's a veteran. He's been around the block. So who are you building with? Who are you building around with the Mets? I don't see anybody to build around. What that means is, that usually means blow it up. But it's hard to say blow it up with the Mets because they still have that top-tier rotation, man, that great starting rotation that 3 years ago got them to the World Series. So if they can find 2 or 3 young players to build around with that good rotation, the Mets will be in good shape. But the problem is, Lestro, they don't have any of those young players to build around.
And they got nothing in the pipeline either. The Mets right now are an organization that if you blow it up, you're looking at like a Sixer-style process for a couple of years as you rebuild. That's like a Astros move to look 3 years in the future. And I don't know if Mets fans, I don't know if the city of New York, if that works there, especially when you've got Syndergaard and DeGrom. And I don't know if either one of those guys would put up with it if the other gets traded and they're stuck on a team that's going to lose 100 games a year.
You know what would make it would be great, obviously, for the Mets, and going back to the young talent to build around, if they could get Gleyber Torres on their team. That's the young guy that the Mets would be able to build around. But obviously it would mean trading DeGrom or Syndergaard, so they kind of be back in the same spot. They have a player to build around, but no pitching.
What I heard is that the Yankees have the possibility, that the Yankees are one of the few teams that can actually have the possibility of getting both guys, or at least getting one. And I'll tell you this. The Yankees should do it now. Get rid of whatever and get the pitching and win now, because it's not guaranteed that they're going to win with hitting, and they got to win now. The Yankees are built to win now. No future, no. They got to win now.
Well, I think the Yankees are built for their window is just opening, but it raises the question, Cisco, would you trade Torres for at least one of those Mets starters? Would you be willing to sacrifice the Gleyber Torres in order to get either Syndergaard or DeGrom or both?
Yes.
Yes, you would do it. You make that trade?
Yes.
All right, let me talk to you guys like this. Okay, 2016, the Cubs traded Gleyber Torres. Do you know who they traded him to?
For a closer.
No, the Cubs traded Gleyber Torres to the Yankees for who?
For a closer.
I don't know.
Yeah, which closer?
I don't know.
Chapman. It was Chapman. The Cubs traded Gleyber Torres to the Yankees for Chapman. Got them the World Series. Cubs win the 2006 World Series. 16 World Series, I'm sorry. Okay, season's over. Yankees go ahead and sign Chapman.
Right,
so the Cubs win the World Series with Chapman, but lose Gleyber Torres in the meantime. Then they lose Chapman. Now they have no Chapman and no Gleyber Torres. Now just imagine, guys, if Gleyber Torres was...
Hang on, Cisco.
You listen.
Hang on, Cisco.
No, you listen, Cisco.
Hold it right there.
Now,
because they got the best closer in the game after losing Chapman at that time in Wade Davis. What are you talking about?
I'm saying, imagine if the Cubs had Gleyber Torres right now. They'd be the World Series favorite again this year.
No, because they need pitching. They need more stuff. They won the World Series, and that adds more value to their franchise. And they have not won in millions of years. The Yankees have not won in over 10 seasons. The Yankees have not won in over 10 seasons. That's a long time for New York.
It's a long time for the Yankees. It's a short time for everyone else. I like the idea that the Cubs hadn't won in millions of years. That's about right.
Bro, but the Yankees could probably win a World Series this year without a starting pitcher. It'd be tough to do.
How much you want to bet right now? What do you want to bet that they're not going to win with this team this year?
Well, my question is,
they're not going to win this year like this.
That's
trading Gleyber Torres. We'll say so to get DeGrom, we're gonna say okay. You know what, Cisco? We're gonna say we're gonna get DeGrom and Syndergaard. So the Yankees get DeGrom and Syndergaard. The Yankees give up Clint Frazier, Gleyber Torres, Miguel Andujar, and one of the young pitchers in the minor league system. So you lost those 4 players to get DeGrom and Syndergaard. Now is the Yankees team better than it was before that?
Look. Let me tell you.
Yes,
something.
I say yes. Hang on. I'm going to say yes on this because in a short series in the playoffs, you need the pitching more than anything. The hitters can hit and the guys can hit and you get the guys. But in a short series, especially in the playoffs, you need a couple of top-level pitchers. I don't know if the Yankees need both of these guys, though. I think that's a bit much. I think putting on the table for both is a bit much. But I might actually be willing to trade Torres to get one of those pitchers because they're going to be in that rotation for a couple of years. I said it before, the Yankees' window is opening. The Mets don't have a window. They've been staring at a brick wall. So why not open that window? If the Mets get Torres and keep one of those pitchers, they've got something to build. The Yankees have a chance in a short series because their pitching staff gets better.
The Yankee gave up Eric Milton and almost everybody. Almost in a whole bunch of prospects, they packed those prospects up to Minnesota for Chuck Nabla. Do they regret it? No, they don't. Because they went on a dynasty, and Chuck Nabla contributed to all of those World Series. To all of those. To those 3 World Series that they won with him, he contributed.
It's true. No. He did get the yips in there, but aside from that, definitely played.
Listen. Chuck Nabla, every single time Derek Jeter and somebody in the postseason hit the winning home run or drove in the winning run, it was Chuck Nabla scoring that run.
Hey, buddy, a position player, Chuck Nabla, contributed to a dynasty. It's much easier, much more likely for a position player to contribute to a dynasty than a starting pitcher. We've always gone over this. Starting pitchers are very fragile. So we're going to trade for Jacob DeGrom. We're going to trade Jacob DeGrom, anticipating him contributing for the next 4 years to a Yankee dynasty. I think Gleyber Torres is much more likely to contribute to a Yankees dynasty than Jacob DeGrom.
Oh, the attorney lawyered you.
Gleyber Torres can stay in New York, and they cannot win the World Series. A position player doesn't guarantee you a World hitting. Pitching wins. You need both, but pitching is more important.
Hey, buddy.
More important.
Hey, buddy.
Pitching is more important.
Hey, buddy. Pitching's more important. Just look at the Mets right now. Their pitching is great. They're 27-33.
Yeah, that's
because they scored one run or fewer in 16 straight games. So pitching is important, but if you can't score runs, the pitching doesn't mean nothing.
So, attorney,
listen, we're talking about but your case is invalid because look, right now, what you're saying doesn't really make sense because we're talking about in the postseason. What is more important? In the regular season, you got to win games. A lot of stuff happened, but once that rotation is made and it's your 4 guys in the postseason, pitching wins.
Okay, I'll put it to you like this. I'll put it to you like this, Cisco. Yeah, trading Gleyber Torres for Jacob deGrom would be very helpful in this year's postseason. No doubt about it. That would give us the edge in this year's postseason. What about next year's postseason and the year after and the year after? This Yankees team wants to win. They want to become a dynasty again.
Yeah.
New York Yankees are known to win World Series championships in bunches, not one, and then win another one 10 years later.
Let's be realistic here. This Yankee team look prominent.
Bro, you just made a point. You just made a point about Chuck Knobloch contributing to a dynasty. Gleyber Torres is so much more superior than Chuck Knobloch.
Listen.
Same position, too.
Listen, Gleyber Torres was not more superior to Chuck Knobloch. Gleyber Torres has a long way to go. When they got Chuck Knobloch was the second baseman in the game behind Roberto Alomar. You didn't watch him. You didn't know. So don't even come with a prisoner of the moment. Don't even come with that.
I've watched plenty of Chuck Knobloch, man. I watched Chuck Knobloch. Chuck Knobloch was a scrappy, good, solid player to have on your team. Gleyber Torres, Mark Teixeira.
You did not see him.
Bro, I'm not.
You didn't see him.
I'm not
about things that you have seen. Listen,
bro, I'm not 6 years old. I'm 24 years old. I've watched a lot of Yankees in my life.
Check this out.
24 years old. You watched Knobloch when you were 7. Come on.
In all reality, does this Yankee team look like they can beat this Houston Astros team?
They're 5-1 against them this year.
That's the truth.
So why don't?
In the postseason, does this Yankees team look like they can beat this Astro team?
They beat them in 2 series so far in each of the series. So I got to say that there's a possibility for it. Now, so wait a minute. Hang on. Let's go. Attorney, you're saying do not trade Torres for either one of those Mets pitchers. Now, Cisco and I say, you know what? Do it. You say don't. That's not the move.
Dude, if the Yankees were a team like the Dodgers or the Nationals, that window was about to be closed, I'd say do it. Do whatever it takes to win a World Series this year. But Gleyber Torres is going to be the reason.
I got you one. I got one for you. A perfect one.
Bring it.
The Boston Red Sox traded back then Hanley Ramirez for Josh Beckett. Ask them if they regret it. Ask the Red Sox if they regret it. Ask the
Josh Beckett.
If they regret trading for Josh Beckett.
Bro, Josh Beckett was a World Series champion. He had a postseason pedigree. We're trading for Syndergaard or Jacob
deGrom and Syndergaard have postseason pedigree. They went to the postseason. They carried the Mets. It will be the same thing. It will be the same exact thing. I am comparing you to the same scenario. And these guys are better than Josh Beckett. Look at the stats. They are better than Josh Beckett at this point of their career.
Did Jacob deGrom or Noah Syndergaard ever pitch in a clinching game, a World Series game? Did they ever be the starting pitcher in a World Series clinching game?
If they did, they lost it.
Josh Beckett did that.
They lost the World Series, but they carry the team. They lost to a better veteran team. Not that time. That team was better than their team.
Well, fellas, we got 2 more months to argue about this as we get closer to the deadline. I'm sure this will all shake out as we go, but we got to move ahead just a little bit because we're running up against time. So let's talk about other teams that need some starting pitching now to go ahead, because with deGrom and Syndergaard, if they're available, the Yankees will not be the only bidders. Now, Attorney, you say you got a team that needs some starting pitching even worse?
I would say so. And that team's the Milwaukee Brewers.
I don't know why? Man, they beat the shit out of the Phillies last night.
Man. Why? Because they hit the shit out of the ball. Because they hit the shit out of the ball. Their lineup is special, man. And I was just reading an article before. Ryan Braun, believe it or not, he's still the X factor in that Brewers lineup. Right now, he's only hitting .236. But his there's this stat that the hard hit percentage, I don't know the exact term of it, but his Ryan Braun's percentage in that category is way up there, which means the average is he's not getting the hits, but he's hitting the ball hard, which means the hits are going to come. And then the lineup with Yelich and Kane and Travis Shaw, that Brewers lineup can score runs with the best of them, hence why they're in first place in the NL Central. But like you guys just mentioned, in a short series, in a playoff series, pitching is what you need. And the Brewers don't have the pitching. Their ace, Chase Anderson's 4-5 with a 4.57 ERA. The other kid, Brett Suter, the lefty, 5-4 with a 4.55 ERA. That's not going to cut it, man. For a team that has, aspirations to win that NL Central, they need a top line starting pitcher.
I agree. They're also a team whose window is closing, unlike the Yankees. They're near the end because Braun's getting old.
What the Brewers are doing is not going to last. That division, they're going to lose it. They're not going to be able to maintain throughout the whole year that way. That's unrealistic.
Unless they get pitching.
To win the division. That's unrealistic for them to win the division.
Why? They were right up there last year in the NL Central without pitching, too. Their lineup is fearsome, bro.
Had a great offseason.
But at the end, in August, September, when things matter, that things like that, they fell apart because you do need pitching at the end.
That's the whole argument.
Yeah. So that's the point, Cisco. Do you think that the Brewers, who unlike the Yankees, are not seeing their window open? You know, the Yankees are in the opening part of this team and this championship window. We're talking about Ryan Braun. Ryan Braun's been playing for like 15 years now. This is a guy that no matter how good he's playing right now is starting to see the end of his game. If the Brewers need it, if they need to make a move.
Who should the Brewers should get?
They should go after DeGrom. Everybody should go after DeGrom. They should, every team should be calling the Mets right now.
Why don't the Brewers go after an American League guy like Chris Archer?
That works. Or you know who's another pitcher too that might be able to have for cheap because he's coming off the injury? Stroman from Toronto.
No, Stroman having a crap year, but maybe a change of scenery could help.
We totally forgot to mention, bro. Michael Fulmer from Detroit.
Another guy on a crap team.
Now, well, it's believe it or not, the Tigers are only 5 games back in the AL Central. That's how bad the AL Central is.
Yeah, who wants it least?
Right, but Fulmer, Fulmer won the Rookie of the Year in what year was it? 2016. I have the stats right here. Let me find the stats for you. Here we go. 2016, he was 11 and now if it wasn't for Fulmer, remember Sanchez would have won the AL Rookie of the Year that year. But Fulmer that year 11-7 with a 3.06 ERA. The following year 10-12 with a 3.83 ERA. And now this year he's 2-5 with a 4.73 ERA. But the velocity's still there. Fulmer brings it, man. He brings about 98, 99 miles per hour on the fastball. But that Detroit environment, and the losing might be too much for Fulmer. And I can think of another Detroit Tigers pitcher that wasn't having a great year, left that team, and went ahead and won a World Series. You know what that pitcher is?
Could it be Verlander?
There you go, and I think that could happen. I think that could happen with Fulmer. He could be that addition to a contending team and help them win the World Series.
So let's the Yankees get him. We only need
Fulmer. I wouldn't mind Fulmer in the Bronx.
Let's go get him because that's been the talk of the whole season was the Yankee acquiring Furman. So let's get him.
Well, I'll tell you, once again, boys, we're getting into the heat of it here. We got 2 more months to see how it shakes out and where they go. I'm with you, attorney. I think the Brewers need the starting pitching better than the Yankees. I think I'd rather play on the Yankees, and I think they've got the deeper bench. But we'll see what happens as we get to the trade deadline as we move forward. Who the buyers are, who the sellers are. We got about a month to see it all shake out as it goes. But man, you can't ever have enough starting pitching as far as I'm concerned.
You hit it on the head, Lestro.
Well, let's transition here. We are getting close to the end of another episode of BaseHeads, so we will turn the corner and end it as we always do with our regular segments. And with that, we turn to the Cisco the Realist for our Realest segment. Cisco, who's the realist this week?
Really, this week is Corey Kluber of the Cleveland Indians.
And why is that?
Because Corey Kluber have shown that he can be very consistent, and like people really overlook at him when it comes about the best pitcher. I don't think they mention him, and he deserves to be in the argument.
Well, they don't mention him. Okay, he's won 2 Cy Youngs in the past 4 years. They don't mention him. Okay,
people don't really give him. People don't really give him the credit that he deserves.
Cisco's, he did get the Cy Young a couple of years ago, and a couple of years before that.
Last year he won it, and then 2014 he won it.
Yeah, I know, but this year he is not. We're not hearing his name as much, and his ERA is 1.96 right now. He's 9-2 on that Indians team. 1.96 ERA. That's pretty good.
And look, and the league is batting a 203 against him. The whip is 0.85. he's having a really good year, and not only that, like this will be we know that he's gonna maintain this pace. It's to the other guy to really keep it up. We seen him that he's back, and and possibly if he wins a third Cy Young, now we gotta talk about him in a short career, potentially be a Hall of Fame.
He's also, we talk contract years. He's only got one more year on his contract in Cleveland, so he could be a nice trade bait if the Indians had fallen out. But with them making that run for the Central, I don't see him going anywhere. I see them building on him.
The Cleveland's are gonna win the division by default.
By default.
So all they gotta do is play. They have better players than everybody. With 90 games, with 90 wins, they win the division.
Listen, I wouldn't want to play the Indians in the playoffs, though.
No, that's a good point. They're like last year and the year before. They're sneaky. I mean, let's not forget that the Indians were in the World Series 2 years ago and took the champions to 7. This is a team that has not lost too much from that club, which was a surprise getting there when it did. So yeah, I think the AL playoffs are going to be phenomenal either way.
I agree.
All right, so Corey Kluber is this week's realist with Cisco. Had a great week, a great pitcher, not quite getting the looks because he is in Cleveland, despite the fact that they're at the top.
People are more impressed with everybody else. Like we people talking about more about what Verlander is doing. People talking about what everybody else is doing. But
Verlander's having a season.
But they're not even mentioning that this guy is right there. They're not even mentioning that this guy is right there. Like, he has been the guy over the last 2 years in the American League, and he's doing it consistently. And now he's back. So,
all right.
Will be a good run at the end.
The realist this week, Corey Kluber. So, with that, let's turn our attention the other way and go to the attorney for our closing arguments. Attorney at Sports, who you putting on the stand?
You know, you guys remember who I put on the stand last week?
Not off the top. Was it fans?
Yeah, Sonny Gray.
Sonny Gray, right.
Did you see what he did?
No.
Last start?
No, I didn't.
Cisco, did you?
No. You the one who root for these guys.
He pitched great. I put him on the stand after he pitched great, and I said, listen, Sonny Gray, the consistency is not there. I need you to pitch great 2 starts in a row, 3 starts in a row, 4 starts in a row. Now Sonny Gray, since I called him out, he has 2 great starts in a row. The consistency, it's coming for Sonny Gray.
I love it. You took credit for the Yankees streak because you went to the game. We're taking credit for Sonny Gray. I love it.
Let's not trade for a pitcher. We got Sonny Gray.
Okay. Okay. But anyway, the person I'm putting on why? You know, that's not even, we laugh at that, but that is a possibility. That could be a realistic reason why they don't trade for a pitcher.
Yeah,
but
you're totally right.
But anyway, who's right? Me or Cisco?
It's Cisco's right. With him pitching, they may not need to trade if Sonny Gray comes back and starts playing like he's supposed to. If this
he was saying that sarcastically.
I know, but it's not wrong.
It's not. It's really not. But anyway, the person I'm putting on the stand this week is another Yankees player, Gary Sanchez, the Sanchez. Listen, man, I have this guy on my fantasy team, Gary Sanchez. And in my opinion, after Buster Posey, he's probably the best hitting catcher in baseball. He's only hitting 200, man. 200. The homers are there, but goddamn, Gary, 200. I need you to be – I can't have that on my fantasy team, bro. The Yankees depend on you to hit. I depend on you to hit. We need you to start hitting. I'm telling you, man. Now, Gary Sanchez, the past 2 years has hit over 30 home runs. And right now he has 12. So he's on pace for 30-plus again. But is it really an accomplishment if you hit 235 home runs? Is that really something you're proud of?
Well, you do hit the 35 home runs, and the runs matter, but you don't want to be at that Mendoza line no matter how many home runs you hit.
And a lot of people in that organization think Sanchez is their most complete hitter. I don't know about most powerful hitter or whatnot, but in terms of the best hitter and the most complete hitter, a lot of people say it's Sanchez, and I agree. And the defense has been getting better of late, but it's still not where it needs to be. Too many pass balls, too many balls in the dirt getting past him, too many balls just hitting off his glove and runners moving up, advancing bases on Sanchez. And this kid's too good, and he's too valuable to this Yankees team to be performing how he's been performing. So for the sake of Yankees fans, for the sake of the Yankees, for the sake of the Attorney at Sports Fantasy team, Gary Sanchez, let's get it going, man. Let's get that. Let's start raising that average.
On the stand this week is Gary Sanchez, catcher for the New York Yankees, who needs to step it up because the attorney needs more production out of you for his fantasy team, Gary. Are you listening? Forget the home runs. We got to get you slapping some singles. That's what matters right now, man.
No, I'm not even talking about the singles, man. Gary Sanchez, when he's hitting, bro, when he's on fire, he hits those balls in the gaps, man, those doubles, those extra base hits. And I'm telling you, extra base hits are a category in my fantasy league, along with batting average. So give me the extra base hits. That'll raise the batting average, plus the home runs. Gary Sanchez, I need you to win my fantasy league, bro.
And with that, let's turn to our final segment of fantasy, and I'm going to start with Cisco this week because we're talking about the fantasy game. What are we looking at going forward this week? Who do you like? Who do you not like? Who do you drop? Who do you pick up, Cisco?
Pick up Max Muncy. Max Muncy. Yes. He's batting 396 with 300. Matt Muncy from the Dodgers.
Hiding out of the Dodgers, helping them bring back.
The other Dodger third baseman. He's having a good season. A guy that people were benching, that people were concerned. You know who's been really hot?
Who's that?
Attorney favorite first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt.
Paul Goldschmidt starting to hit. One of the reasons that Arizona stopped their fall.
Yeah, Paul Goldschmidt has started to hit, so watch out for him. Stay away from the guy that you gotta stay away from is this week is Trey Mancini from
Baltimore.
From Baltimore.
And I'd stay away from everybody on the Orioles.
167, 0 home run, 0 RBI, 0 everything for the last 7 games.
That's a tough run.
You know, so.
All right, so with that, let's turn to the attorney. Who are you dropping? Who are you picking up?
All right, I'm picking up Ben Zobrist, man. He's been locked in at the plate lately, hitting 304, 4 home runs. You know, the average will probably come down to around 280. That's what he's been around his entire career, 280, 285. And he'll probably finish with around 15 home runs. But I'm a fan of Ben Zobrist because he's consistent. And you guys that play fantasy baseball know it's good to have players that are eligible at different positions. And Ben Zobrist is eligible at multiple positions. Second base, third base, left field, right field. When you're in a pinch, when your left fielder's not playing well or your right fielder's injured, you can slide Ben Zobrist right in there, won't miss a beat. Another pitcher to pick up, Nathan Eovaldi. Cisco, you remember this kid from the Yankees?
No, I got him on my fantasy team.
Yeah, man. He's always been so inconsistent, but God darn it, man. He's always been so intriguing because of his velocity. I'm telling you, consistently, man, this kid Eovaldi from innings 1 to innings however long he pitches to, 100 miles per hour consistently. But he had Tommy John surgery. He just got back. He had 2 starts since then. First start, he pitched 6 hitless innings. Pretty good for a first start back from Tommy John surgery. His second start, gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. But again, he's healthy. And boy, oh boy, he brings it with the heater. A lot of strikeouts coming Nathan Eovaldi's way. And let me tell you somebody to drop. Man. Jay Bruce, man. I hate to keep, nagging on the Mets, but Jay Bruce, he's not getting it done. In real life or in fantasy. They got Cespedes coming back. Brandon Nemo's hot. Michael Conforto's playing better than Jay Bruce. Jay Bruce is going to lose his spot. He's going to lose his spot in the real life lineup for the Mets. He's going to lose his spot in a lot of fantasy lineups as well. Since May 7th, Jay Bruce has 1 RBI. Since May 7th. That's over a month. 1 RBI. Only hitting 230, 3 home runs. Get him out of here. I got no use for Jay Bruce.
I'll tell you what, that I got no use for him either, and I don't even have a fantasy team. That is terrible. That's not a guy you want there. All right, well, as I said, boys, you know me. I don't have a fantasy team, as I just said. I don't have the time to play the fantasy ball, but I watch the games. And in the look ahead this week, we got a couple of big series coming up. Beginning on Monday, we got two big series happening. The first is the LA Angels make their way to Seattle starting on Monday for a series against the Mariners that could really put some separation between the teams in the AL West. I like this will be a chance for the Mariners to prove themselves. They get up on a bigger stage because people are watching the Angels, even though they're West Coast. We get to see what happens here. I think the Mariners are for real. They got to prove it to me this week. The other big matchup this week is starting Monday. Is the Chicago Cubs travel to Milwaukee to take on the Brewers in a battle of the top two teams in the NL West. Now we didn't get a chance to talk, or the NL Central rather. We didn't get a chance to talk about the Central too much. We've talked about the Brewers. The Cubs, as we noted, are on the come up and are on their way. This is a chance for Milwaukee to prove and keep the separation between them, or for the Cubs to catch up with the Brewers and start to stake their claim on that NL Central division. That's going to be a big series. Then, as we move to the end of the week, we got another big series coming out for them. On Thursday, another Seattle series. The Boston Red Sox come into Safeco Field here. So this homestand for the Mariners is the Angels and the Red Sox. And we're going to really get to see the moxie of this Mariners team this week. They can battle these two teams and pull out series wins in both of these. We got something. Then, also on Thursday, the Giants and the Dodgers face off. And while this is a heated rivalry matchup that always, no matter how the teams are doing, has sparks fly, with both of those teams a game and a half back, once again, we're looking at a separation series possibility here in the NL West. So with I would keep my eye on that one. Also on Thursday, the Phillies, who are this weekend playing the Brewers and trying to keep pace and trying to keep their shit together, go back to Milwaukee to play the Brewers again. So we get a chance to see the Brewers this week playing the Cubs and the Phillies, both of whom are above 500 teams. So I think it's a big week in ball for the Mariners and the Brewers to see both of these teams, how they're going to survive. And, of course, I'm watching that Giants-Dodgers series next weekend too. And with that, boys, I think we have come to the end of another Basehead. So, without any further ado, my name is Lestro. You can find Baseheads on the worldofsportsnetwork.com. World of Sports Network, connecting the world through the sports we love. Screwed it up that time, fellas. And you can find me on Twitter at @MoreOrLestro. You can hear my other show, Trash Talk Radio, every Tuesday on the World of Sports Network and at TrashTalkRadio.com. Attorney at Sports, what are you doing?
Yo, are we ever going to have Guru as a guest on Baseheads?
If we can get him on a Saturday, we'll see. I don't know. I can't even get him to talk about baseball on Trash Talk Radio.
Yeah, but yeah, you guys can go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Attorney at Sports. Don't forget the _. And then you can go find my show, Sports in Order, on YouTube at the World of Sports Network YouTube channel. If you don't mind, go ahead and subscribe to that channel. That'd be very helpful. And then, of course, this show, Baseheads, great show every Saturday on Anchor and on the World of Sports Network channel as well. Thank you, guys.
Cisco, my man, where are you at?
I am Cisco the Realest on Instagram. Now, also, you can find our Basehead show on YouTube too. Now,
yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I forgot about that. Baseheads up on YouTube on World of Sports.
Much easier to find Baseheads too on YouTube, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So now that's where I am at, and I'm here, and I am also on Facebook, and I'm here in Boston battling these Rex fans.
Keeping it real, the realest, in fact, in Boston. And with that, fellas, that is what we got for this week. Thanks for listening to Baseheads. We'll see you again next week to talk a little more ball. I'm Lestro. That's the Attorney. That's Cisco. Thanks for listening.
Peace and love, guys.